Hi students, I'm back with the discussion of the novel Untouchable written by Mulkraj Anand. This is part 2 of the narration of the novel or the critical overview of the novel Untouchable. In the first part, hope you remember, I introduced you to the author Mulkraj Anand, the reason for writing this particular novel, and we have also seen what all had happened in the life of the protagonist Baka from the morning till afternoon. If you don't remember, please have a look at the previous video, but still for your better understanding, I quickly recollect what all had happened till the afternoon, where Baka had been undergoing a lot of humiliation just because he had been born an untouchable, that we saw in the first part. His day began amidst the scolding of his father for being late to get up and clean the toilet. It was added on by Havildar Sharat Singh, who also shouted at the untouchables for not keeping the toilet clean. So Baka rushes, finishes it off, and then comes back and finds no water in the house. And Sogini, understanding the younger sister of Baka, understands the tiredness of the brother, and she comes forward to go and fetch water from the public well. And there, I told you the plight of the untouchable who had to wait for the mercy of the touchables to get water, and among the bickering and the quarrel among the untouchables also had been highlighted by the novelist. Then she comes back with water. After that, Baka undertakes even the task of his father going to the town. There he met with a very unfortunate situation of a touchable man coming and hitting against him, but he scolds Baka for not announcing his arrival, and he slaps him in public. That humiliates him. He spares vengeance on that man because it was too much for him to bear. And then he goes to the temple premises, cleans it off, and then goes to the town streets where he was supposed to collect the food, but he found the town to be very deserted. And there also he was very badly treated. Well, that sadhu who does no job has been treated with reverence by the women of that place. Baka, after doing such a hectic job of cleaning, keeping their place neat, was looked down upon by the touchable women who treated him worse than that of a dog. And one woman even threw the chapati at him, which hit the ground, and he had to really struggle to get hold of the chapati. That was adding to the already miserable experiences that he had been witnessing from the morning. And with the heavy heart, he returns home. There, the first video came to an end. And we stopped. After collecting two rotis from the town streets, he comes back home not knowing what would be the reaction of the father for not getting enough food for the family. There we stopped the first video. Now we are going to continue with the story. What happens? So now Baka is coming back to his home. We are going to see that. Let me share the slides with you. So all that we have seen, major characters, minor characters, and how the plot works, and he comes back home depressed and dejected. This is where we stopped the previous video. Now we are continuing with the plot, his experience with his family. So when he comes back, he finds his father to be in a very good mood because he did not work all day and he had been relaxing. So he felt very relaxed and very, what do you say, happy. And Baka comes back home with a heavy heart. I told you because of the miserable experience he had from the morning. Okay, and father asked him what he had brought, and Baka was telling that he could get only two rotis because he did not know any of the people living there. And Raka gets very irritated and says, "You have to know them because it is where you have to spend the rest of your life." That was more for Baka to bear. So he was so afraid that his life is going to be a continuous tale of miseries. The one day visit to the town had been too much for him to bear, and how is he going to live the rest of the day was something that worries him. And his father, Laka, understands that something was eating up Baka, something was troubling Baka. So he was asking him, he asked him what was wrong with him, but Baka did not tell him because he knows that his father won't be supporting him or understanding his feelings. He would be adding on to the misery. So he did not feel like sharing that with, but Laka continues to urge him, and finally he comes out with all had happened in the town after he left here. And Laka was both irritated as well as he felt sorry for his son, and he wanted to know whether Baka had any intention of taking revenge to retaliate for all the wrong that had been done to him. And Baka also admits, saying that he wanted to take revenge on Kalinath. Hope you remember Kalinath abusing Sohini at the temple premises and shouting that the sister had polluted the temple. Okay, all that was too much for him. So he wanted to at least take revenge on the priest Kalinath for ill-treating or exploiting the sister. And Laka tells him that he should not nurture any such ideas because touchable men should be respected. Untouchables have no right to fight back or express their anger against the touchable men because they have to be obedient. So Mulkrajan shows here how touchables have been groomed right from their childhood to be obedient and passive before the touchables. So they are used to that. Only Baka shows what the bouts of rebellion, and he wants to set right what is done wrongly to him. But the previous generation, especially the father Laka, he is totally submissive towards the touchables. And in order to soothe the heart of his son Baka, Laka tells him about his childhood experience, how a touchable man really helped him save his life. So he was trying to tell them that they can be really good. So the incident is very, very important because it soothes the mind of Baka. Laka recalls how, as a small infant, Baka was suffering from fever, and Laka rushed to the doctor. And being an untouchable, he was not allowed to get into the clinic of the doctor, so he had to wait downstairs and waiting for the mercy of the other touchables to go and get the prescription for the medicine. He had money. Laka, of course, had money, but he did not have the prescription of the doctor to buy medicine for his dying son, who's been very badly suffering from fever. But nobody came to help him, and they were mindful only about their business. And Laka was feeling very, very bad, as if the scorpion. That was how the writer was describing. It was like he is undergoing continuous sting of the scorpion. It was so stinging and so painful. And he rushed back to the house to find out how the son was doing, and he found that he was breathing his last. It was too much for him to bear. He forgets his untouchable status, rushes into the doctor's room, and gets hold of his legs. And the other touchable men who were gathered there, they were aghast, seeing what the courage of this man, the boldness of this man, the aggression of this man in violating the societal norms. But Laka was least bothered about that. Though the doctor got angry for being so intruding, he understood the plight of the father, and he was writing a prescription for him. But meanwhile, the brother of Laka came and told him that his son was breathing his last, and if he wanted to see his son for the last time, then he should rush home. So Laka, he left everything there and he came back home to be with his dying son. Suddenly there was a knock at the door, and when Laka turned, he found the doctor standing there with all the medicines. He came forward to treat Baka in spite of being the fact that he was an untouchable and the doctor was not allowed to touch him. He forgot all that and saved Baka from that illness. And Laka was narrating the whole tale to Baka, and it moves the heart of Baka, and he understands that the father loved him and loves him. Though he is very rude and arrogant at times, he had some love for uh, the son. He understands that, and it was like a kind of an ointment that he spreads on the wounds that has already been caused during the morning incidents. And then what happens is Raka comes back. So the brother was asking where is Raka, the younger brother, and the father says that he has gone to collect food from the barracks, British barracks, and Raka was coming back. I'm sorry, Laka is the father, Baka is the protagonist, and his younger brother is Raka, Ari. Okay, Raka comes back with the baggage of food, and he looks very shabby with running nose and all shabby appearance. He's a striking contrast to Baka, who always keeps himself very tidy, clean and respectable, but Raka pays no attention to his clothes. He comes back, and Baka scolds him for looking so shabby, but Laka, the father, likes Raka more. That could be also understood. And Baka, and all these had been told from the perspective of Baka. Baka tells that Laka, the father, loves the younger brother more than him, and he takes sides with Raka, saying that he is working and he's a small kid, so he would be like that. Like that, they said they opened the baggage and start to eat. And Baka also puts the hand into the bag, and his hand touches something very sticky. The bread is very sticky, and immediately that brings to his mind some British officer washing his hands over the left out dinner or lunch, and that had been taken and given to him. That was nauseating. That made him feel very ill at stomach. He wanted to vomit, and in order to control that, for the feeling of nausea, Baka quickly comes out, stands up, and Laka gets angry. Why this boy is not eating anything? And in order to escape from the views of or the scoldings from the father, he tells him quickly that Ramcharan. Hope you remember, Ramcharan is one of the friends of Baka. His sister is getting married that day, and Ramcharan has invited him there, so he would be eating from there, and that was quite a placating factor for the father. He is also thinking about what all his son will eat from the marriage house. So he finally agrees to let him go, and Baka escapes from that. This again throws light on the individuality or the how Baka stands out from the rest of the touchables. The father, the son, and the younger brother and the younger sister, they all eat from the leftovers. But Baka couldn't bring himself to eat that. He prefers to be hungry than eating those leftover. All this shows the terrible living conditions of the touchables. That was the aim of Mulkraj Anand in depicting all these in a very detailed way. And he comes out and walks towards the house of Ramcharan. And while walking, Baka was recollecting his childhood experience when he acted as the mate of Ramcharan's sister. They got married in one of the dramas, and he was nourishing that, and he wanted to get married to Ramcharan's sister, but he couldn't, and that brings a kind of a pang in the heart of Baka, that he missed the friend's sister. He could no longer nourish the dream of marrying the sister. That was something, uh, some kind of a pain to him, and he walks along. But he never has the courage to go to Ramcharan's house because he was afraid of it. Not only Baka, everyone in the town or everyone in the village is afraid of Ramcharan's mother. We have met her in the public well, near the public well. Hope you remember. Gulabo was her name, the washerwoman, and that was Ramcharan's mother. And Ramcharan's mother did not like Baka or any of his friends going in, so he stands 10 feet away from the house. Meanwhile, he notices his other friend, Chotu, is also coming that way. And both of them try to get the attention of Ramcharan, who was very busy eating the sugar plum. Sugar plum must be like the laddu that we eat, right? And finally, they get the attention, and Ramcharan comes back. And when Ramcharan walks towards the friends, Gulabu notices her son going towards the friends, and she starts yelling at them, "You son of a pig!" All that kind of abuse she showers over them, and they run. Baka is really afraid of this Gulabu, and he really runs towards the hill. And they all run fast, and Baka was left behind by his friend. He goes alone, and when he reaches the hill, he was so much taken back by the beauty of the very serene looking, very, what do you say, very calm looking hills. And so he enjoys that. That was a kind of he begins to feel solitude getting into him. He feels a kind of a peace restoring to him from his morning experiences. So he lies down on the grassy ground and dozes off. He slowly falls into a sleep. Suddenly, Chotu, he comes there, finds his friend sleeping. He takes the grass and puts it inside the nose of Baka. He sneezes and gets back from his sleep, and he laughs in a very nervous way. And both Chota and Ramcharan understand that Baka is not in his usual happy mood. So Chota keep asking him what was the reason behind his unhappiness. So Baka hesitates. Finally, he comes out with all that had happened. Once again, what he had told his father, he repeats to his friends also. And Chotu gets very angry for the bad treatment that his friend had received, and he swears vengeance against Kalinath, the temple priest. And he says that they will find an occasion when they will certainly take revenge on Kalinath. But Ramcharan was not saying anything, and Ramcharan was telling them that they should rush home now. Only then they can play hockey as they have planned before. In the afternoon, they can play. In the evening, they can play hockey as they have planned already. Only if they could go home now. And Chotu also agrees to that. So they starts to go to their respective houses. But Baka feels that he should go and get the hockey stick. Hope you remember, Havildar Charat Singh has promised to give him a hockey stick. So he thinks that he would go and collect the hockey stick. So he walks towards the barrack. And here, while he was going to Charat Singh's house, he passes along the barracks where there was a topi. Topi means a hat being hanged, and there two sentries are on guard. So the writer invest page in describing what the topi is and why it has been kept there. And we've been told that one of the British officers have done some wrong, killing a soldier, Indian soldier, unjustly. And, and as the white man cannot be punished, all his belongings like his topi, belt, and all those have been confiscated instead of that person. But that person, fearing the abuse or fearing the consequence, has left. He left the place the next day, but still the topi has been on guard, and this has been a kind of an attraction for all the untouchables. They wanted to have that as a symbol of their English. They wanted to possess that in order to gain the respect of the Englishman. Baka even thought in his childhood to steal that and possess it, and he was singing all that while walking along, and he reaches the house of Charat Singh. Right, and this I told you in the beginning that Charat Singh is the only person who treats Baka with some human concern. And when he reaches the house, he finds that Charat Singh, Charat Singh was not to be seen anywhere. So Baka thinks that he must be asleep. So he did not want to trouble him. So he sits in front of the house. But soon Charat Singh comes out and he must have had a nap in the afternoon, and he was washing and doing his ablutions, and he notices Baka and he calls him inside. And when he goes there, Charat Singh was asking why Baka is not playing hockey nowadays. And from their talk, we understand that Baka is a very good hockey player too. If he would have been a touchable man, he should have shined. But what happened? Being an untouchable, he did not find enough time. He doesn't find enough time to play and prove his talent. And Havildar Charat Singh also asked him to go to the kitchen to fetch him some fire to light his smoke pipe. And Baka was shocked. He even thinks that the Charat Singh might have forgotten that Baka is a latrine cleaner and an untouchable. So he was wondering. But so then he tries to rationalize by saying that he had been asking him about his work now. And so he knows that Baka is engaged in the cleaning of the toilets and he is an untouchable. So, and his heart was brimming with happiness and pride that at least one man treats him like a human being. So he goes inside and asks the cook for the pieces of fire, and the cook gives him. The cook also doesn't know that Baka is an untouchable. He looks at him very carefully. He scrutinizes him, but he was not able to locate where he had seen Baka. So he very quietly gives that thing. And while Baka was coming out, Charat Singh, Charat Singh was telling Baka to inform the cook about his evening tea. He wants his evening tea to be served right now. And Baka informs him, and the servant brings him. When the servant brings tea for Charat Singh, he asks Baka to take the bowl that is kept outside for the sparrows to drink water. And he pours half of the tea to Baka and asks him to drink. Though Baka refuses, Charat Singh insists on his drinking, and he drinks. And all that was something. Something that Baka was so elated about. He's so happy that Charat Singh is treating him like a human. So the narration tells you how even small things small things are enough to make an untouchable happy, because everywhere they find humiliation, everywhere they find marginalization. When one treats them with some concern, it is too much for him too much for the untouchables to bear. So he was so elated, he was very happy, and he is hopeful that maybe things are getting better for him. Maybe the bitter experiences in the morning will soon fade away, and what awaits him the rest of the day would be something beautiful and something happy. And while he drinks, Charat Singh goes in and brings out a beautiful hockey stick, and it looks brand new hockey stick that would have been used by Charat Singh at, just once. Such a new hockey stick was given by Charat Singh to Baka. That was again added happiness to him. He collects that, thanks him, and comes out. When he comes out, he thinks about the sons of the Bura Babu, the elder son who had promised Baka to teach him how to read and write, and he was thinking about whether he could do that. And meanwhile, he finds the Chota, younger brother of that Bura Babu, trying to collect the hockey sticks from his home. And Baka was feeling very sorry for the boy because he knows that the boys will never allow a small boy like this to be played with him, played with them. But the boy doesn't know. He was very eager and excited, and he was collecting and possible number of hockey sticks so that he can also join them. But what happened? Baka knows that it is not going to happen. Soon he finds the friends also joining them. They starts to play hockey. They turn into two groups, and here Mulkraj Anand informs to his friends that the rest of the boys who are playing with Baka, they do not know that Baka is an untouchable. Ramcharan tells that he did not inform them about his untouchability status. That was again something very odd. Baka is happy, but it's again a humiliating experience that his real identity is not revealed. So he plays kind of what do you say, his self-respect has been affected. Previously also, when they were walking along the hills, when Ramcharan was offering the sugar plum to him, Baka tells, throw it to me, don't want to pollute it. And then we understand that even among the untouchables there are hierarchies. You know, the washer people are above the latrine cleaners, so there is again discrimination among the untouchables. That was something very uh, bad for the people who belong to the lowest strata or the lowest rung of the social structure. And poor Baka belongs to the lowest one, and he has to bear with all the humiliation because of being born in that job. But you have to remember, without those people, can we keep ourselves clean? It's a big question. But we forget that and we treat them like worse than that of animals. And previously, we've been told that when the Hindu man was colliding against him, dashing against him, and slapping him for touching him, every touchable man who goes along the cow, I mean, goes past the cow that was wandering along the street, when they go passing that cow, they touch it and I mean, put it on their eyes as if it is a holy thing. So even animals are treated better compared to the untouchables. They play, and here again, misfortune waits Baka. What happened? Baka plays very well, and he hits a goal, and that was too much for the other opponent team to bear. So they started to strike Baka with a hockey stick, and the fight ensues. And in that, Ramcharan was telling his friends, including Chota, to throw stones at the opposing team. And they started to throw the stones, and the younger brother of Bura Babu standing in the middle. And what happened? One stone that Ramcharan throws hits the boy. He falls down unconscious, and blood was rushing out, gushing out. But, I mean, everyone just disappears from the scene. And Baka was so agitated that he lifts the boy, forgetting that he is an untouchable. He carries the boy and runs to his home. And there, what he gets is not the gratitude or he did not receive any word of gratitude, but he was abused further. And the mother of this small boy shouts at him, seeing him holding the son, right? And calling him again son of a pig, how dare you get into the touchable house and pollute us. And even she accuses him for wounding the son. But the elder brother was telling him that it was not Baka who hit him with the stone, but the mother is not at all listening to him, and she starts to abuse him further, hurting him. And Baka gives the son to the woman and rushes outside the home. He's feeling totally depressed, and he's wondering what had he done to bear all this. From the morning, he had been bearing this humiliation, and he had been meeting out with such bitter things in his life. And what had he done other than being born in an untouchable family? And, he was thinking all that, and he walks back home. When he looks for his friend, no sight of his friends could be seen, so he walks back home. And when he comes into the vicinity of his house, he's suddenly reminded of the hockey stick that he holds in his hand. So he decides to hide it in the bushes, because if the father sees him with the hockey stick, that will be the end of the day. He would start scolding Baka, and he doesn't have any energy left with it to listen more such scolding. So he hides the hockey sticks and goes to his home. And as expected, Daka was so furious. He scolds the son, asking him where he had been all day, and he had been such an ungrateful boy, forsaking his duties and all that. Like a father, angry father, he was telling all unwanted things, and usually Baka would have accepted all this quietly. But today it was too much for him. Everywhere he had been abused. Everywhere he had to bear with some, bad words. So he was feeling totally, dejected and depressed. And but he doesn't say anything. He starts to go towards the toilet latrines to continue with the evening work. There, who was standing? His brother Raka was standing with weapons, with his instruments, like that toilet cleaning instruments. And when Baka is asking him for the instrument, he just scolds him again, saying that he has spoiled his afternoon, how he couldn't go for playing just because of this irresponsible brother, and that was too much for him, right? Even the younger one is abusing him. That was too much for him, and when he was trying to react to it, the father was shouting, "Never ever come back to my house. Get out of my house. We don't need your service. Don't go to clean the toilets. We will look after. We know to look after ourselves." Like that, he was shouting, asking him to get out. Usually, this wouldn't have affected Baka, because he had grown up listening to all these abuses from the father and rest of the family. But that day, he really feels very bad. It hurts him. So he walks out of the house in a very speedy way. He swiftly walks off towards the hill, and when he is walking, all the bad memories rushes back to him, and he tries to recollect all that happened. And he was waiting for a human soul to console him, but he knows that nobody is going to come to his help. So he finds a peepal tree, a shaded tree, and he goes and sits in the shade and closes his eyes. Suddenly he notices a hand on his shoulder. When he opens, he could see Colonel Barucha. So now we are going to see the encounter with Colonel Barucha. Barucha, he's an Englishman, and Baka, and he asked him what is wrong with him. Why is he looking so depressed? And that is a kind of a what a great blessing for Baka. He's so thrilled, and he doesn't say anything. And Barucha, as I told you, he's the head of that Salvation Army, and his aim of coming there is to convert Baka to Christianity, and he tries to preach to him about Jesus Christ and how he was a Messiah who has underwent crucifixion to save the humanity. Like that, Barucha is giving a long stories and singing songs about Jesus Christ. Baka is not able to understand, and he loses interest. But Barucha doesn't leave him. He asks him to go with him, and Baka, though he doesn't like the way that Barucha has been talking, he is so proud to walk with an Englishman who wears a trouser, and he also thinks that maybe when he goes to the house of Barucha, he will give him one of the old trousers, and that would be a great treasure for him. So with that hope, he walks along, and he did not like Barucha talking about all human beings as sinners and all those stuff. And while listening to the stories, they reach the house of the Church of Salvation Army, and his house is very next to that. When they go there, they find the wife of Barucha coming out, and she scolds him for being so irresponsible and roaming out with all that untouchables and bungies. She calls the untouchables, and she says afternoon tea is ready. And Barucha tells Baka to wait, but the woman who hears that wait, I'll come now, to be things told to her. I mean, actually, it was a reply he has given to Baka, but the woman understands, the wife understands it was given to her. She gets angry and scolds him, and Baka gets very angry. He doesn't want the trousers anymore, so he runs away from that place. And he feels that the anger of this woman was many times more than all those angry people whom he have met in the morning till evening. So that again speaks about how the white people also treat them. So all these are or the clues that gives you pictures that makes you understand how every walk of life, everywhere in the society, that untouchables are treated badly. Even among the untouchables, the Latin cleaners, the lowest rung has been treated very badly, and the white people treat them badly. Even the what happens? The Hindus treat them badly. Everywhere they find humiliation, and Baka just allows his legs to take him in the direction where the legs go. So I mean, he walks like that for some time, and he finds himself on the railway route. And there was a train. There is a train that halts in that railway station, and suddenly there was a large crowd getting out of the train in white attires. Everyone is wearing white, I mean, kurta, and everyone is clad in white, and they have a cap on their head, and they are all talking about Gandhi and how he is going to give them a speech that day in Golbagh. Golbagh is like a stadium, and they starts to move. And while they are moving, what happened? They also push Baka along. The entire place has been filled with the crowd, and they start to move. And while moving, Baka also automatically gets moved with that crowd, and he finds that he stands alone from the crowd because most of them are wearing white clothes, whereas he is in a very worn out khaki. But he luckily he did not have his broom and his basket, so the people did not know. They do not know that Baka is an untouchable. He is glad that he did not bring that. He also get along with the crowd, and there we get to know about how Gandhiji has been just let out of the prison, and he is going to address them that day, and he has promised the British empires not to speak about the freedom struggle. That was on that condition Gandhiji was released and given permission to address the gathering. And all that had been spoken, and the crowd reaches the Golbagh. And there everyone goes and sits in the round, the circle that is kept for the audience to be seated. But Baka doesn't go with them. He just goes and leans against the tree. And when he was standing there, he could overhear people talking about Gandhiji, his non-cooperation movement, how he has been fighting to bring the Hindus and the Muslims together. There was a lot that was happening in India during the freedom struggle, and all that comes out from different people gathered there. And he looks at everyone and he finds how each one have a peculiar way of dressing. So the cultural differences of a great country like India is also getting reflected here. Mulkraj Anand takes pain to describe that, how the Muslims are clad in the high quality cotton, and how the Sikhs and the Hindus are wearing the silk dresses. All those stuff have been very detailedly explained by Mulkraj Anand. And Baka hears all that, and he's waiting. Suddenly there is a motor car that arrives, and he finds a man stepping out, and he immediately gets the attention of Baka because of the skin color. He looks as brown as that of Baka, and he's very happy to find him. And he is covering himself with a white shawl. And Mulkraj Anand describes how Gandhi looks like, with a clean shaven head and two protruding ears, and that round spectacles that he has, and a stick in his hand. And two women on either side. One is an Indian woman, the other one is an English woman, and someone was telling that was the daughter of an admiral, the English admiral, and we know that it was Mirabel, Madeline Slade, Admiral Slade's daughter, who been the follower, the fan of Gandhiji, has changed her name into Mirabel, and all that had been displayed, and the crowd pushes along to get near Gandhi, and they go to the ground, and Gandhiji goes and sits on the platform where he's supposed to deliver the message. Baka doesn't join with them as usual. He climbs the tree that was nearby and takes the aerial view. There he finds one more man sitting. And from there he could hear Gandhi very clearly. And Gandhiji blessed the crowd and said the prayer as usual and started to talk. And this part is very, very important, because here Mulkraj Anand is addressing the real problem with the untouchable. Why the untouchable is not gaining social recognition. That comes out through a great leader like Gandhi. So Gandhiji was telling them, as had been already reported, that he was not supposed to talk about the freedom struggle. So he would like to address another serious issue, equally important issue of untouchability. He tells that it is a worst issue, and treating human being with disgrace. It was much worse than that of freedom being denied. So he recollects how, as a child, he had been told by his mother to take bath whenever he collides against a latrine cleaner of his house called Ukka. Ukka was a boy who used to clean the latrines of Gandhiji's house. And whenever he comes into contact with that boy, his mother admonishes him immediately to take a bath. And he used to wonder why this happened. And he also talks about how he would like to clean toilets, how he always enjoys scavenging. That was how Mukraj Anand had explained. That was bringing goosebumps to Baka. And he was feeling very, very happy about it. And Gandhiji continues to talk about how, I mean, untouchability is a serious issue, and how all the temples and all those public places should be open to the untouchables too, and how they are all the, I mean, sons of God. And he also gives a piece of advice to the untouchable, telling them why they've been treated badly. This is very important, as I told you. He asked them to abstain from drinking, eating carcasses, the dead bodies of animals. They should stop eating, and the important one he expresses is they should not accept the leftover food that the touchables gave them. Ask for whole grains and money for the job that they do. It is not a kind of what mercy that the people show. They give them what they deserve. They do I mean, lot of work, so they shouldn't accept the leftover food given by the touchable. Aka gets goosebumps, and he wishes that his father should hear to the words of Gandhiji and should not scold him for not begging to the Hindu, and as he did in the morning. So he was feeling all that. And when Gandhiji was telling that they should abstain from drinking and should not eat leftover or the dead animals, he gets even angry with Gandhi for being very partial. Because, the untouchable, they have no other go. They have to survive. So they feed on anything that is accessible to them. So mixed feeling were there, but finally he was so, I mean, glad that Gandhiji could treat them. And he was talking about how there would be a day when the untouchables will also be treated like human beings. So that was very much uh, what motivating Baka. And finally, Gandhiji leaves the place, giving that talk. And people, even after he leaves, Gandhiji leaves, people are talking about Gandhiji and how his non-cooperation movement. Once again, they are taking sides and treating how Gandhiji has been striving hard to bring the Muslims and the Hindus together. All these had been the talk of the crowd, and Baka very interestingly listened to that. Suddenly, he notices two people quarreling, and those were R.N. Bashir and Iqbal Nath Sarshar. Bashir is an advocate, a barrister, and Iqbal Nath Sarshar is the poet. And Bashir was wearing a monocle, a single spectacle, monocle. It is called monocle, and he has a cap, and he was criticizing Gandhi, saying that he's a hypocrite, and he talks about unwanted things. Is it going to happen? Untouchables being treated equally. Is it going to happen? It is just for publicity that he does. Like that, he starts accusing Gandhiji, whereas his friend Iqbal Nath says that he should not come out with such blind accusation because Gandhiji has been doing something very great. And he tells that in the Western countries, people are using the flush system. So he's talking about the new toilet system where no human being need to work with their hands to clean the human excretion. So that was something so what welcomeable to Baka too. He was thinking whether it could be possible that without using hand they could clean that waste of human beings. He was so thrilled. And Iqbal Nasarsha continues to describe how Gandhiji is referring to that. And if that comes, then the untouchables need not do all that job that is considered to be very bad by the touchables. If they don't do that, then they will go for other profession. And when they start to work in other occasions, what happens? Naturally, they will be accepted by the society. So there is a possibility that Gandhiji's vision of equality being implemented in the crowd like that. Talking, and Bashir, who couldn't argue with Iqbal Nath Sarshar, saying, okay, stop this blabbering, let's go. Saying that they both go from that place. And Baka was feeling very sad that they very quickly moved out of that place because he wants to know more about the flush system and the sanitary, new sanitary sanitation systems, all that stuff. But unfortunately, Bashir and Iqbal leave the place, and Baka climbs down the tree. He comes down and he finds the sun is setting, and he wants to share everything. He forgets all the fury and anger and revenge and the bad feeling that he has for the society as well as for his parents and siblings. He now wants to get back home and tell his father all that had happened in the gold bath. He wants to narrate what all Gandhiji has said about the untouchable and how he wants to gain the respect of the touchable society by being good, by not eating the carcasses, by not getting drunk and wearing neat dresses. All this he wants to share with his father. So he forgets his fury, anger, and decides to go home. He walks back home. This is where the novel comes to an end. So evening, Baka forgets his fury and gets back home. He's very thrilled after listening to Gandhiji. So does the novel ends. Now we come to the themes. So as I told you that the entire novel is a social critique. It critiques the social practices prevalent at that time. Even now there are caste system. We cannot say that now there is equality and equal rights being. Even we come across certain news items where we find the untouchables are still treated badly, but these are rare cases. Right? We don't find among ourselves in the classrooms or in the society where we live such a, bad practice has been openly practiced. In rural areas, still it is there, but those times it was very prevalent, and this particular novel is a social criticism on this unhealthy practice of untouchability. So this is a very important theme that you find here. And here the novel has been used as an instrument or a weapon to lash against the caste-ridden Indian society, where more than the fighting against the foreigners, Gandhiji tells them the need to fight against these unhealthy practices, where even the people of the same country been discriminated in the name of the birth. So that was one of the themes. Then caste divisions in a Hindu society. We also come to know the different hierarchies among the touchable and untouchable society. So we get to know about that. How even among the Hindus there are hierarchies, and among the untouchables also there are hierarchies, and each hierarchy has been very promptly been followed in their cultural practices. Then the inhuman attitude. Inhuman attitude, there are numerous such attitudes that we find in the public well, we find in the street where Baka has been brutally abused for no mistake of him. While he had been slapped, the cow had been worshipped. So this inhuman attitude is also very much highlighted, and the hypocrisy of the religious priest. This is one of the very, very irritating thing I came across in this particular novel. You know, they talk about being polluted when they touch the untouchable. But exploiting the physique of an untouchable woman is not a pollution for them. They want to enjoy that pleasure of exploiting a untouchable woman, but other than that, they don't want to touch it. So this is a hypocrisy that is practiced by the religious people, not only religious people, all the touchables. And we find the priest Kalinath, Pandit Kalinath, doing that. And we also find traces. This novel also traces the reasons behind discrimination that comes out from the mouth of Gandhiji. Why the untouchables are not gaining respect? Because of their bad behaviors, because of the shabby attitude of their life, or their lifestyle is not as clean as that of the touchable. They don't take bath, they don't keep, they don't wear neat and tidy dresses, and they don't have a healthy eating practices. So all these are the reasons behind discriminations, and Gandhiji highlight those reasons, and Baka understands that. Though he gets angry, he understands that this is one of the reasons. So that also has been traced by Mulk Raj Anand very brilliantly in the novel. And finally, through the mouth of Mahatma Gandhi, Mulk Raj also advises the people how they can attain the social equality, how all these evils can be overcome. Okay. And hope you remember what are the ways they should not accept the leftovers, they should not eat the dead bodies. All those are the advices that through Gandhiji that Mulk Raj Anand is trying to make these advices reach the readers. Thereby, he tries very earnestly and very wholeheartedly to end the social evil. We understand that he is very much against this caste discrimination, and he wants somehow to make this system come to an end. And so he tries to find out that he traces the reasons and the ways in which it could be, the system could be curtailed, or there should be an end to this system. So these are the important themes that we come across. So on the whole, as I told you, this is a novel that traces the life of Baka from the morning till the end. He starts his work in the morning and he ends it I mean, in between, Baka comes out with a lot of humiliating and depressing situation, but finally he finds a way, and there is a hope. The novelist ends the novel with the ray of hope that all these inhuman practices will come to an end, and the role of untouchables in bringing this humiliating and unjust social condition is very much in their hands. And the flush system and the treating of the untouchables with respect are something that is going to happen in the near future is the message that the readers get, and we know it had happened, really had happened. And so you could find that this is a really brilliant novel that talks about the condition. We could understand the cultural practices of India, the freedom struggle at that time, and the role of Gandhi in leading the freedom struggle. And above all, it is something that throws light on, very candid light on the life, the plight of the untouchables who are treated so badly. And through this, the writer tries to tell you it's time that we should stop such inhuman practices and treat everyone with respect and reverence. So I stop this. Hope you understood. Thank you.